Alright, so let's walk through rendering. So what is rendering? Well, rendering is the process of putting dynamic content on a web page in general, but it can be any string. And what that basically means is that if you have a template string, any string at all, let's say that you had a way of saying that, hey, I have a lot of static text here, and that's going to be the same for almost all of that text. But there's one piece of text right in the middle of all of this text. I want you to find that and replace it with something that I provide you. And that's in essence what a template is. A template is a set of data or a structure of text or in content that never changes, and the parts that are interchangeable are the things that are going to be processed through the rendering process. Now, this will make a lot more sense when I show you how it works. So in essence, we have this web server here. We're using Express. So we instantiate Express, we instantiate our application, we set views, and we set that to /views. And all this basically means is that the place to look for our HTML documents is going to be in the views directory. This matches to this directory over here, you can see. And then we set the view engine to EGS, and that's just the view rendering engine. You could write your own thing, but these packages are already available, so I recommend that you use a rendering engine. Now, we have an endpoint here for the root endpoint that is going to mean that whenever we go to the root domain, so like something like google.com or in our case localhost 3000, we're going to hit this endpoint, and this is where the magic happens. So this rest.render call takes one first input parameter, which is index, and then a second input parameter, which is the dynamic content that you are going to inject into this HTML document. Now, this means that index, that's this file over here, is going to be processed. So the server is going to read that file, and then it's going to look for anything inside of that template that is annotated with a very specific type of syntax that has the message variable, and it's going to switch that out for this text here. And then we spin up the server and we listen on port 3000. Now, if we go to our HTML document, this is the template. So the template part is these tags here. This is what we call the template, and the content, the dynamic content I was mentioning earlier, this is what that is, this part here. So this syntax says, when you're rendering this document, switch out message for anything that matches that variable in your rendering process. And that's what's happening here. So message there is gonna be switched here. Alright, so we go and we start up our server, go to the document, spin it up, and there you go, hello world. And if we open and inspect, we can see that, yeah, that's all there is to it. This document perfectly matches now this document here. And that's all rendering is. All it allows you to do is to create web pages and put some dynamic content. Now, usually you don't do something as simple as hard coding your messages like this. You usually have a database or anything, something like that. And this is how like your notification and news feeds and all of that stuff works on the major sites. They have a template site where they have all these images and content that's always going to be the same on that page, and then they use rendering to put in dynamic content from their databases. And yeah, that's rendering.